All right, to my guest, thank you so much for being on the show. Y'all, we've been kicking for like the past 10 minutes.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
Me too. How are you? How are you doing?
I'm great. I, have definitely uh been worse for sure.
Me too. Me too. I feel you, sis.
Yeah, so I'm good and I'm happy that I'm good today. So
Me
yeah.
too. And you look good. My guest is pretty, y'all.
Oh, thanks. Look, I went and got a wash and go today, and I'm not a wash and go girly, so I feel like I look like a weird boy, but we're making it
No,
happen.
you got some hang time, the curls for the
A
girls.
little bit. Look, this how long
Right.
my hair really is. This is my one
Oh,
lock. And so
wow.
my hair shrinks so much. It's just I look like a weird boy, but whatever.
That is crazy shrinkage. It's like they have y'all, just to give y'all a visual, her hair is like to her ears, but she just pulled it. It's like to your chest, no?
Yeah, yeah. It's actually
Yeah.
like waist length hair, but it's
Wow.
crazy.
That is
But,
beautiful. Well,
so yeah.
I was telling my guest that I'm super excited to have her on because I feel like, as you all know, I am a really huge advocate for mental health. And, that's the reason why the professional homegirl was founded, from my pain from losing my grandmother. So I'm really excited to jump in with your story. So I watched your videos about you being the only child, and it led me to wonder about the unique situations when it comes to only children. So do you believe parents have a responsibility to prepare their child for their passing?
Uh, I actually do think there is some sort of responsibility that comes with only having one child.
Yeah.
You have to, I think, be a little bit more organized as a parent,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to be a little bit more communicative in telling them. Like my mom always told me, if something ever happens to me, open up this particular briefcase. And
Mm-hmm.
it was one of those like old timey briefcases with a combination that you had to use, and
Mm-hmm.
the combination was my birthday. And she didn't tell, my mom was married twice and she didn't tell none of her husbands the combination. It was just, she only told me, like, the combination. The combination is your birthday. So,
That was
and then,
really thoughtful of her.
yeah, and she was very
Yeah.
like organized as far as like she wrote down all of her internet passwords and like her
Mm-hmm.
credit card, her banking stuff or whatever. And I think she knew that, when the time did come that I was going to have to do everything by myself, which I did. I had some
Yeah.
help there from her sisters and stuff like that, but um I think the responsibility, the onus is there for the parents. Like a lot of people want to like um sort of gloss over it or not talk about it. I don't know. That's the thing in the Black community. We'd be like,
Right.
don't talk
Not in front
about
of the
it.
kids.
Yeah, it's like you're
Right.
gonna make it happen or something. Like, I need to be prepared. Can you prepare
Yeah.
a little bit? So yeah, I think it's really important for people who do have just one kid to at least try to get some things in order and then tell them where the stuff is that you got in order. At
Yeah, I
least do that.
agree. I agree, especially when it comes to like just financial security, because planning a funeral and everything like that shit is not cheap.
Oh my goodness. And I thought I was gonna have to do some underhanded, fraudulent type shit.
Not scam.
When my when my mom passed away, because like the memorial service that I had for her was like 6 grand or something,
Yeah,
right?
it's
And
expensive.
I didn't have that in my account. So I was just like, I'm gonna have to use her account. And at first I was like, oh, I'll just write myself a check from her account and then, you know, deposit it and it'll be there. But it was gonna take like 3 to 5 days or something, and I didn't
Yeah,
have
for
that
the
time.
clear.
Yeah. And so I was like, I'm just gonna write a check from her account. And if I mean they know she's dead, you
Right.
know they know the funeral home knows that this person is deceased, and here you are
Right.
writing a check. And I just gave it to the lady. I was so grief stricken at the time that I was just like, just take me to jail at this point. Like, I just
Yeah.
don't even care. If you're gonna take the check, take it. If not, just call the police. Cause
Because I'm ready to clock out anyway.
I'm
So
ready to clock out. Please hurry up, somebody. Um,
right.
but yeah, I think, oh, another thing that I want to say, add that I think is super important that I don't think enough people talk about for parents who maybe have, this is for any parents really, no matter how many children you have, start getting rid of your stuff.
I was gonna bring it up.
I
Yeah.
don't have so much stuff. It's
Yeah.
like really hard. And this you're grieving. And like I found myself like anything that my mom wrote on, I wanted to keep. It could have been a grocery list from 1987. And I'm like, first of all, why do you have this still?
Right.
That's number one. Number two, why am I going to keep it in this file folder? Because it has your handwriting and it like makes me feel like you were a real person and not just some figure
Yeah.
that I had, you know?
I want to talk about that when we get there, because I thought that was interesting because I also experienced that emotion, but we'll get there.
Okay.
So, in light of your experience, which do you think is better? A long, gradual goodbye or a quick, unexpected death? And why?
So I actually had this very conversation with one of my old coworkers his mom had cancer. And
Mm,
so we both thought as we were having this discussion that the other way would be the better way. Like he thought the quick way would be better because my mom died unexpectedly and very quick after a knee surgery. She developed a blood clot and then it just she passed out and just never woke up.
did she know about the, like, could she feel the blood clot? Do you know?
So my mom was actually a nurse. So she knew that she had a blood clot. She drove herself to the hospital. They gave her some blood thinners or something, discharged her after a couple of days. And as soon as she got out of the car from being discharged, she fell down and never woke up again. Yeah. So it's very
Wow.
like, what's happening? And this is when I was living in New York and she was in Mississippi. And so I was getting all these phone calls. This is back in the day when you couldn't talk on the phone on the train. And so
Right, because niggas be on the phone on the train all the
right?
time. I be like, who are you talking to? We underground.
No, I when I first moved there, that's when people will be like, if you see anybody on the phone on the train, they're crazy because you can't talk on the phone on the train, but now you can. So can't use that rule anymore.
Right.
But I thought that the long goodbye would be better only because I felt like I had so many questions.
Yeah.
I just wanted to like sit there. I wanted to record her. I would if I had a long goodbye, I would have recorded me asking her a lot of questions, hearing
Yeah.
her voice. Just I would have just took so many more pictures of her body, like
Yeah.
it's like sometimes I sort of forget how her hair, like the texture of her hair actually was because she blew it out a lot. And
Mm-hmm.
so I wish I would have like had just more pictures, more time. And even though the long goodbye, I feel like is starting the grieving process earlier,
Yeah.
um, because you know that this person is going to pass away eventually. I just think it gives you so much more time to get questions answered. Uh, hopefully, if the person can still like speak and make decisions and stuff like that. It's like, what would you want me to do with the house? Or
Yeah.
something like,
Yeah.
instead of like just guessing. I just felt like I was guessing at everything because my mom's passing was so unexpected. And I
Mm-hmm.
felt pressure to make her proud and like make sure I was doing it right. And
Right.
I still don't know if I was like doing it right. I was just trying to like make sure stuff was getting done. So yeah, in my opinion, I think the long goodbye is probably a little bit more grueling, but I think it gives you more opportunity to ask questions and basically interview this person before they go.
That's so funny that you said that because my grandmother, she died from Alzheimer's slash dementia. And
Mm,
I feel like I was just so caught up in the moment that I feel like I didn't get to know my grandmother as a woman.
that's
And
it.
yeah, and I feel like who I am now was just like being in love with storytelling and like sharing our stories and stuff. Like I would just have loved to like just sit down and like just collect so much from her. Like, because sometimes I even like my grandmother, I don't know if you're spiritual, but like my grandmother, like she really doesn't come and visit me in my dreams.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes I have like a bad day, whatever. I'm like, damn, I wish I had my grandma with me. And just like that, she'll come in my dream, like, because sometimes you forget their voice or you forget how
Yep.
they smell and stuff, and then they'll just come and it's just like, oh my goodness, like it feels so real. And I
Yeah.
just be feeling like okay, this did happen. Like you are with me, that type of feeling.
Mhm.
So I agree. I wish that, I mean, it did take her, it felt like it took a long time for her to transition, but I wish
Mhm.
I would have been a little bit more proactive in doing certain things to capture those memories that I only have in my heart.
Yeah, I agree with the thing you said about like not getting to know her as a woman. I
Yeah.
I when my mom first passed away, I had this sort of long period of feeling super guilty because all of the things that I was remembering, all of the memories that I was keeping had to do with me. I would be like, oh, I remember my seventh birthday. And I'm like, no, I'm trying to remember her. But it was just
Yeah.
so focused on me that it was almost like every memory I have is of her just being a mom, and I didn't really know her as
A
a woman.
woman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I would have loved to. My mom passed 2 weeks after I turned 30. So we were just entering this like exodus from mom to friend.
Yeah.
We were just now getting to the point where we calling each other like, girl, what you doing? What you watching on TV? Blah, blah, blah. We was just
Right.
getting to that point, and then this happened. So I feel like I really didn't get to know her in the best way. But that's why I always like I ask, she had four sisters and a brother. And so I'll ask, like, what's your favorite memory of my mama when y'all was growing up or whatever? Like I asked other people that knew her. I'm trying to
Yeah.
like piece together this person that I only knew as my mother. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally get it. I totally get it. So when
Yeah.
you found out that your mom collapsed, where were you at? Like what, how did you find
I
out?
was
Like who
in
called you?
Okay, so I was coming home from work
Hmm.
in New York. I was working in Manhattan and living in Brooklyn in Crown Heights. And I
I used to live in Crown Heights, by the way. I know you from somewhere.
this is weird. Yeah,
I used
girl,
to live on Schenectady.
I was on Sterling Place between Rogers and Nostrand.
We probably saw each other on the train because I seen your face somewhere
Probably.
on the 4 train.
I don't even remember what train I took. I think I took the A going one way and the two coming back. Is that right? I don't know. Child.
Yeah, I don't know.
You like, that sound right. I don't remember. The B44, I know I took the B44 sometimes.
Oh, see, I don't take no bus. I can't take the
Oh
bus,
yeah.
man. Buses in New York be stressing me out.
Right. No, it was a time. A time was had.
Right.
But so I was on the train coming home from work.
Hmm.
And like I said before, like, you couldn't talk on the phone on the train back then. So as I was coming up the stairs, my phone was going crazy. Bling, boom, 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 boom. And it was
Right.
it was family tweets, messages, calls, everything saying, call home, call home, call home.
Wow.
And so I called my mom's house, and my mom lived alone. And this random lady picked up the phone, and I was like, hello?
Like, who is this?
Yeah. I was like, is my mommy there? What?
Right.
And she was like, so my mom was a nurse, and she had all these nurse friends, and they're very nonchalant when it comes to nurse things,
Right. Because
right?
they do this
So
shit
this
every day.
Yeah, yeah. And so she was like, oh, she outside on the ground. We waiting on the ambulance. I think she having a little stroke. I said,
What?
okay. Now this is me coming in blind because nobody in the Twitters or the messages has said your mom has collapsed. Nobody said anything. They just said call home.
Right, right, right.
And so I was like, excuse me? What? I was like, is she okay? Can I talk to her? And she was like, she's not really saying anything. We're waiting on the ambulance, and I'll call you back when I find out what hospital they're taking her to, the ambulance is taking her to. Now, apparently, what this lady had done was she looked at my mom's phone and she found the first person that said aunt so and so, the first person that looked like family.
Oh, so
And
y'all don't know each other like that.
I don't know that lady.
Oh,
I
wow.
did not know that lady at all. And so she called the oldest aunt. This aunt was probably 90 something years old at the time when she called her.
Oh,
And then
God bless
that
her.
aunt called one of my mom's sisters, like apparently fell down somewhere and nobody could get in touch with. And
Right.
so that's basically how it all started. And then by the time they took her to the hospital, they don't give any information over the phone.
Yeah.
Unless the person authorizes you. And my mom came in unconscious, so they could not tell me anything. And so I had one of my mom's sisters that lives in LA. I had her on the phone on a three-way call with the hospital. And I said, Auntie, they're not telling me anything. They won't tell me anything. And by this time I had already booked a flight. I was like, I'm going tomorrow. Like I'm down there. And
Right.
my aunt asked a very crucial question. She asked the lady, she was like, I know you can't tell us anything, but if this were your family member, what would you be doing right now? And the lady said, if this was my family member, I would be on the next flight.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, man. And that's when I was like, I'm not ready. Please,
Right,
no.
right.
I'm not ready. I don't know anything. Like literally, one of my mom's last texts to me was, I put $750 in your account. Like I wasn't an adult yet. I didn't feel ready. I just felt like I was still so dependent on her.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a time. It was a really crazy, crazy time to be like, I just turned 30. I'm about to get it, 30,
Yeah. I'm grown. I'm that bitch.
I
I'm
was
a
like,
woman.
dirty 30s, baby, we finna get lit. No,
Right,
sit
right.
down, sit down and cry. Because basically that's,
Yeah.
yeah. So she actually never like woke up or whatever. And I had to, she was on a ventilator. So I had to like do the whole thing of signing the papers. Like 4 days later, I think I signed the papers for her to like get taken off the ventilator. And I waited for like some more family to come in and then
Right.
sign the papers or whatever. But yeah, it was, I always say that like my mom's passing was
Mm-hmm.
very tough. It was very difficult for me, but I think it was just the catalyst, because what happened after that is that everybody is seemingly everybody started dying. Like I had like
Mm.
uncles die. My two dogs died 1 year apart, and then like my dad died, and then
What was the time frame between your mom and dad?
5 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so my dad died when I was about to turn 35. Um,
And how
and
did
then
he pass away, if you don't mind
he
sharing?
had a massive heart attack.
Wow.
His was very sudden as well. It wasn't no like, hey, he's in the hospital. Da, da, da. He just, again, another one that just went down. And then I had like friends. I work in advertising, and one of my like ad mentors, a young Black guy. He was, I think we were either the same age, or he might have been a little younger than me. He passed away the same way that my mom did, with a blood clot after a knee surgery. It was so crazy.
Wow.
And so I was just going to at least 2 to 3 funerals a year after her. And it just felt like I started just feeling like, what am I here for? What is happening? What is
Yeah,
going
man,
on?
that's my next question. Like, did you ever feel like you just weren't going to make it? Because my grandmother passed away when I was 29,
Mhm.
and I was ready to tap out. Like, I just could not continue life anymore.
Yeah, I definitely felt like I didn't see the purpose. I
Yeah.
felt like, especially because, again, I'm an only child. I
Mm-hmm.
don't have any children.
Mm-hmm.
My grandparents had already passed away some years back. And so my grandparents were deceased, my parents were deceased, and even my dogs were deceased. I had no man, no kids. I
Girl,
was
I know you
like,
was over there going through it.
I was like, what is the purpose? I mean, did I
Right.
step? I was like, am I being punished? Like, did I step on like some kind of holy bug at some point?
Right.
Because
A holy
please,
cockroach.
I'm sorry. You know
Right,
what I'm saying?
right,
I'm like, I repent.
right. Right.
Um, and yeah, it just seemingly to me, it felt like it was never ending. It was like one hit after another hit after another hit. And I just felt kind of like a disappointment. I was grieving those people, but I was also grieving the life that I thought I would have.
Yeah.
And so I think grieving the life that I thought I would have, like I thought I would be married, have kids, and my mom would be a grandmother, and we would be
Yeah.
going over to grandma's house. And like I pictured this whole life for myself, and it just poof went away instantly. And I think that was even harder to deal. I'm
Yeah.
still dealing with that because I'm just like, I'm trying to be happy with the life that I have,
Mm-hmm.
but it's hard to imagine, like unimagine something that you've been thinking about since you were little. You know what I mean?
No, I get it. I get it. You know, grief ain't no bitch.
At
Grief,
all.
yeah, it took me a very long time. And I don't think you would ever be okay with the people you love not no longer being here. I just think you just learn how to deal with it better as time goes on.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like just with my grandma, like it took me a long time to accept the fact that she was no longer here because I never experienced death before. So to
Mm-hmm.
be able to experience death from somebody that you consider a mom is like that's a hard pill to swallow.
Oh man. I think my grandmother was my first like family death as well.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, my mom was a nurse. And so when my grandmother was like, she had told everybody, do not resuscitate me. God is in control, you
Who's it, your
know.
grandma?
My grandma said that. She said she signed a DNR, like, do not resuscitate me. Stop, don't try. Like, if God, if it's my chance or my turn to go,
Oh,
then
she was
just
ready.
let me go. It was ready, honey. She was like, I'm ready to see my God, okay? And so meanwhile, I'm at the house, like back in Mississippi, and my grandmother lived in Chicago, and my mom was there, like some family members were there at grandma's house. And I don't think my mom wanted me to be there. She probably knew I would be too emotional or whatever. And so she called me and she was like, yeah, grandma's vitals are going down and her heart isn't beating like it was or whatever, something. I said, do what you gotta do.
Right.
You know how to resuscitate. I said, you know how to CPR that thing right on back. And here she goes. She doesn't want that. I don't care what she
Yeah.
said. She didn't know what she was talking about.
Yeah. Nah, grandma was ready to be with the Lord, baby.
Okay, she said, do not resuscitate. I'm tired. I have lived and done everything I'm supposed to do. I'm
But
like,
what a
okay.
beautiful life to live to get to that point where you're okay to be like, I'm
Mhm.
ready to go. I'm ready to be with the Lord.
Oh
Like
my
I'm
God.
not there yet.
Oh, please. Not at all. Not at all. Um, and that's the thing, like that was one of her things, like God is in control. She always said that. So I think she just felt like if it's my time to go, it's my time to go.
Yeah. Now, in what ways have you noticed grief manifesting in your life when it comes to emotionally, mentally, and physically?
Ooh, well, physically, I I went through this whole time period of like I'm an emotional eater. So
Mm-hmm.
like I was just eating a lot, eating, crying, sleeping, you know,
Mm-hmm.
maybe not in that order, but
Right, right,
maybe
right.
maybe in that order. And so I gained a lot of weight and you know, the weirdest thing was that I started being like very introverted. I'm kind of I always say I'm kind of like an extroverted introvert,
Mm-hmm.
but I started being super introverted because I didn't feel like pretending anymore. I didn't
Yeah,
want
showing
to like
face.
yeah, I didn't want to go out and be like, "Hey, girl," people like, "How you doing? How you been?" I'm good. I'm good. I'm making it. I didn't feel like it. I didn't want to
Yeah,
pretend. I just wanted to like sulk, be in my house and be alone. You know, my phone was barely ringing anyway, so I'm like, I'm good here by myself. And that was a little bit of a switch into I think that's where I started isolating and like switched over into depression. It went from like, oh, I'm an introvert, I'm at the house to
yeah,
like, no, I'm like becoming one with the bed. Uh,
yeah.
but let's see, mentally, of course, like the depression set in. And it was just a lot of, I think I was beating myself up. I beat myself up
Yeah.
a lot. It was like, am I making her proud? Am I doing the right thing?
Mm-hmm.
You know, would she want me to do this? Like, it was almost like I had decision paralysis. Like, I couldn't
Mm.
make any decisions anymore, where I used to just be like, I'm moving to New York. I'm going over here. I'm going over here. And like, I
That's
couldn't do it anymore.
real. Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to
That's
make her proud. So I was like, would my mom want me to do this? Or should I? Shouldn't I? I couldn't make a decision. And I realized that, like, even though my mom wasn't helping me make decisions, I would always run things past her.
yeah.
Like, hey, mommy, I'm moving to New York. What you think about that? She'd be like, okay. Like, she
Right, right.
said yes or no, but like, I didn't have that filter
That
to run
reassurance.
things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's when, you know, depression really, like, it knocked me down. And I tried to find it. Like, what's the line say? I tried to sex it away.
Man,
Look,
Solange ain't never lied. She said she tried to sex it away, shop it away,
okay,
eat it
look, I tried
away.
to do all of that. That did
That
not
shit was
work.
still there, right?
Okay, that did not work. Like,
That's a
um,
fact.
yeah, I found out that, like, there's no love like a mother's love. You know, if you got a good one, there's no love like that one. And I
That's
was
a
trying to,
fact.
like, feel love from these knucklehead Negroes,
Fill
and
that void. Yeah.
yeah, and it just wasn't giving. It all seemed very conditional, whereas
And
I
that
felt
makes you
like,
even more angrier.
oh my gosh. I was just going through it. I was talking to some knucklehead Brooklyn dude. Oh God, at the time when she passed away, I was like just fooling around with this Brooklyn guy. And that
hmm
was the worst thing that could have happened, because I latched on to him. And he wasn't a latch on type of dude.
Right.
He should have been released. Really.
Right.
But I was just holding on, because he was the only person, like, he would come over and, like, cook me things, but probably because he didn't have a place to stay or something
Oh, he
like
was one of those
that.
niggas.
He was definitely a homosexual.
Right,
Um,
right.
but yeah, I struggled in that department. And I feel like I still struggle a little bit with the dudes,
Yeah.
because I just like, y'all ain't gonna love me right, so just leave me alone.
Yeah. I'm surprised you're not celibate, unless you are.
I am, but
Oh,
it's not
okay.
like, it's not like on purpose, like, I'm celibate. There's no, like, decree. It's
Yeah.
just like, I am really fooling with men right now. Like, y'all don't really, y'all giving me the ick.
Yeah, it's a lot of shit in the what they say in the pool.
In the pool, pee,
Dating pool,
and
yeah.
it's whole diarrhea in there at this point.
Yeah. Do you know if depression run in your family?
So that's the thing. I do remember that when my grandmother passed, my mom was diagnosed with depression.
Mm.
And I only remember that because we had a conversation about it. And in one of my therapy sessions, like, of course, years later or whatever, they said, do you think your mom taught you how to grieve?
Mm.
I thought that was so interesting, because I did see how sad she was when my grandmother passed away. And I did see how she just stayed in the house. And it seemed like I was repeating that pattern. And so
Damn,
I
that's
thought
a
that was
great
very
question.
interesting. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, that is super interesting. Maybe because, if you see somebody grieving because their mom died and then your mom dies, it's kind of like, you know what to do already.
Yeah, because you was there.
I was there. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's like, I feel like maybe so, I mean, I have turned into, like, a a version of what she was doing. She just stayed
Yeah.
in the house. She watched Cash Cab. She called me.
Not cash cam.
She would she would call me Trey. Cash Cab is on. Turn to USA or whatever the channel it was.
Yo, old people love that show, man.
Okay. They be trying to beat them people in the bag.
Listen, I do feel like there should be like some classes or something, or just a manual when it comes to like Like maybe somebody in the funeral homes can come up with this, but when it comes to like grieving, and I know there's no right way to grieve, but I just think that I wish I would have received something when it came to like what to expect, because I didn't know what the hell I was going through. Like I thought I was about to pass away my damn self.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is
It's very intense.
so hard. And then like because people kept dying after that, I think I became like numb. Like now I'm the one that like I go to a funeral, I could speak, I could do, oh, you need me to read the thing? Okay, let me read.
Right.
I'm so like numb to it all. I'm just like I'm zoning out.
Right.
I'm not even really there. And it's just you're right. There needs to be some sort of um class, or actually when my mom passed away, when I came back to New York from Mississippi, I had
Mm-hmm.
posted on Facebook, hey, New York friends, does anybody have a grief counselor or grief support?
Yeah.
And I actually found a really great one who talked me down from a lot of ledges. Like there was times when I don't even think, I don't know if I would be here if I didn't immediately start grief counseling, because it was
Yeah.
just like I just want to go be with my mama at this point, because I don't know what y'all on. Y'all on some,
Yeah.
y'all don't act like my mama. Y'all ain't nobody really loving me, like ain't nobody ever gonna love me like that.
Yeah.
That was the realization that hit the hardest.
Yeah. I was so mad at God. I was like, yo, you took the one person,
Same.
the one person that fucked with me unconditionally.
Unconditionally, and just snatched them real quick.
Like you didn't even give me a chance to like do anything. Like
It's like, are you okay? You mad? What's wrong? What
I
did I
was
do?
so confused. Oh my goodness. But I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like, did you have a support system? Because when I was watching your videos, she's smiling, y'all. When I was watching your videos, I feel like you didn't really have that home girl or like friends, like, and maybe you had your family and stuff, but like you said, nobody's like your mom. But like, did you have anybody that was there for you? Because I feel like when you're going through depression, especially when others are not, they haven't went through anything similar to what you're going through, I feel like there's a lot of stigma right there, and then people judge you, and then they don't want to fuck with you no more.
Yeah, so that's a good question. I think because everyone grieves differently, people do not know how to handle your grief.
Yeah.
Um, and so the way that people were supporting me, quote unquote, was sort of like just texting randomly, like, hey, hope you're doing good, let me know if you need anything. I'm not gonna let you know nothing.
I don't even know what I need.
Exactly. I'm not gonna let you know nothing. When my mom first passed away, like I had a core group of like 4 best friends that like really hopped on it. And the sweetest thing that they did was, because they all couldn't be there as they live in different states.
Right.
Um, but the sweetest thing that they did was they all sent their moms. So one mom was,
Oh, that was beautiful.
yeah, one mom was able to talk her way into the hospital because she used to work there. And so she was able to get me information. She was sneaking me call and giving me updates before I got there. And
Mm.
the other moms were like making me food and bringing me food. And they all spoke at the memorial service. So it was like I had like a rally of other people's moms, which I thought was very special.
That was
And
very special.
yeah,
That
I still
very
cherish.
thoughtful.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if they did that on purpose, like, hey, mama, go over there, needs you or whatever. But like, I had grown up with these people, like basically
Yeah.
their extended family, because my best friends are like my sisters, because I don't have any, you know.
Yeah.
So they just all like jumped into action, and I really thought that was awesome. But what
Mm-hmm.
happens is over time, people just expect you to be better sort of immediately.
That's a fact.
Yeah, yeah. And so over time, when I was still sad and still grieving, people stopped knowing how to interact with me, because they're like, oh, still sad. Like, I'm tired of checking in on her. Like, you,
Yeah.
you don't want to do nothing. Let's go to brunch. Let's do that. I'm like, no, I'm good. Like, I wasn't there yet. And so people just sort of faded away with the support. because
Yeah.
it wasn't, I guess, in a timely fashion.
Yeah.
I had never experienced my mama dying before, so I wasn't like, I didn't know how long it was gonna take. I mean, so
Yeah. Are you still cool with them?
I am. I'm still cool with a couple of them.
Okay.
Um, and that's another thing. Like one of them, her dad passed away, and she didn't think that we uh supported her in the way that she should have
Mm.
supported. And so, like we said, everybody grieves differently. And so you really don't know how to support those people if they
Yeah.
don't communicate it and if you don't ask. So that is something that I learned from that experience. Just to ask, like, even though sometimes they're not going to tell you, because I wouldn't have probably told them. If somebody asked me, just let me know how I can support you, I wouldn't have told them shit.
Yeah. I wouldn't, honestly, I don't even know how you can support me because
Right.
you
Like
can't bring my girl back.
I know.
Right.
Can you get Jesus on the main line?
Right.
Because please.
So yeah, but it was one video I was watching of you and it kind of made me sad because you was crying about, I think it was just a very difficult week for you, but one of
Yeah.
your friends didn't want to be friends with you no more.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one that her
Yeah.
dad passed away, and like she didn't think we were supportive of her. So she basically just dipped. She didn't communicate anything with us and she just dipped on the friend group. And I was just super hurt by that because we've been friends for almost 30 years.
Yeah.
And so it seems like, wow, like you didn't even give me a chance to like do better, like
Yeah. Yeah.
'cause I feel like I supported her in the way in which I would have wanted to be supported. But again, she wanted different. And I just didn't know that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very hurtful. And again, that goes back to me saying it seems like every year I'm losing people. I'm losing like family, friends, people just whether they're dying, just walking away, or dipping, don't want to commitment, all of these dudes.
Yeah.
Like it just feels like I just keep losing people left and right. And that's what makes me like go deeper into like depression,
Because
shell.
sometimes you would probably think it's you.
Oh, for sure. I'm like, listen, I know
Yeah.
I'm a little weird. You know what I'm saying? I'm a little goofy or whatever, but like somebody that's been friends with me for almost 30 years, you should be used to it and be able to, communicate like, hey,
Yeah.
I need to talk to my sisters a little bit more. Like I'm falling into a deep dark hole. Boom, I'm calling you more. But she never said that. And I guess we didn't ask the right questions. So
Yeah.
that's done.
Well, I do know that sometimes grief will play mind games on you. Grief will have you
Mhm.
thinking this one is not really not that. So sometimes you just gotta let time play its part.
Yeah, I wrote her a letter, like a card or whatever, and I told her
Hmm.
like, love you, love your family. I'm still your friend, even if you ain't my friend. Um,
Right.
so we'll see. Like you said, only time will tell.
Yeah. Now, earlier in our conversation, you mentioned about how parents should reduce their belongings. So, do
Yeah.
you think your mom should have done that? And the reason why I asked because I know a part of your depression, your house got like really like cluttered to the
Oh
point where
yeah.
you couldn't even move through it.
No. Okay. So it was a trickle down effect. So again, once my grandmother passed away, my mom was
Hmm.
the oldest of five. She went to the house, and even though people took, stuff, little stuff here and there, my mom basically took everything of my grandmother's. And so boom,
Wow.
now my grandmother's stuff is at my mom's house in Mississippi. Then boom, my mom dies. So now I have a house full of not only my mom's things, but my grandmother's things.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. And I'm one person, I'm an only child.
Yeah.
And also, I'm grieving and just going through it and not even wanting to get out of the bed. So it just started compounding on
Yeah.
top of
How could
each
you not be
other.
depressed? Every time you wake up, it's right in your face, the
It's
grief.
right in my face. It's like her clothes, or like I tried to go through a couple boxes, couldn't make
Hmm.
it through the boxes because I call them on my YouTube channel, I call them little landmines. I would
Yeah.
find something that's like, oh, here's my grandma's journal. Like, so now I'm sitting there reading and crying and, you know, whatever. And it's just like crazy how you could start with such good intentions. Like, oh, I'm going to clean
Yeah.
this little area today. And then you stumble across something that just brings everything right back down and you're right back in the bed. And so that's really why I started my YouTube show called,
Mm-hmm.
because I recognized that my house was getting out of control. I recognized that I wasn't doing anything to maintain it. And I just kept buying more things to like help me. Retail therapy like is my jam. Like I just be like, oh, that's cute, I'm gonna get that.
Right.
But I was adding to the clutter. And so it was just getting out of control, and I needed an accountability, something that like was going to keep me on task. And so because I have to make these videos every week, it's definitely keeping me like, okay, we got to keep cleaning because there's a video due, you
Listen,
know,
content
coming.
creation will put your ass to work.
Okay. You need some content.
Listen, content will snap you out of whatever you're going through because you got to put them videos out.
Exactly. Like it
Yo,
is, I started it for that reason. And I also was like, I was nervous when I first started because I was like, I'm putting my mess on display. Because,
yeah, you gave a walkthrough. I was like, oh, wow, she's really doing
yes,
this.
yes. I was like, listen, I put like a little disclaimer in my little, description box or whatever. I was like, if y'all want to say something mean, you're gonna be blocked immediately. Like I don't have the mental bandwidth or the emotional
Yeah.
capacity right now to handle like the mean comments. But I was really nervous about like putting it all out there. Cause when somebody call you and they say like, hey, I'm in your neighborhood, I'm gonna stop through. You gotta hurry up.
Right.
You running all over.
Right. Throwing shit in places you know it don't
Right.
belong. Right.
They're not gonna open this cabinet, just throwing everything in there. And like, I don't want to live like that anymore. I want to just be like, oh, okay, girl, I'll see you soon.
Right.
Like, I just want to be chill because my house is already together. Um, and so yeah, that's why I started it, because the depression really got me in a place. But having messy rooms is kind of like a clear sign that you might not be feeling well. It's like
Oh, yeah.
your brain is like being manifested on the outside in your living space.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the saying about a cluttered space is a cluttered mind or something?
Exactly.
Yeah. That's a
That's
fact.
it. Yeah, for sure. I really do believe that. And also you have to have some, how people with depression, like sometimes they don't take showers. You have to
Yeah.
have you have to have the wherewithal to want to like live better, or like shower. You want to like do things for yourself. People with depression, it's a struggle
Yeah.
to do those things. Like
Mm-hmm.
nothing matters. So why am I what am I doing that for?
Yeah.
It's sort of like that. So yeah, I just had to get it together. And I honestly, when I look back on some of those original videos, like you could see
Mm-hmm.
how sad I was.
Oh,
And
you have a glow now.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I
Like
feel
from what,
so much better. I feel so much better.
like you look lighter.
Yes, that's how I feel. I feel lighter. I feel like the tasks that I have to do, like they don't seem as difficult. They don't seem as
Yeah.
like daunting. Like sometimes one of my friends, she'll be like, wash your bedding. It's Sunday, wash your bedding. I'm like, girl, I didn't even wash this shirt.
Right. I even washed my ass, bitch.
What
Tell
you
us to
talking
watch this
about?
bedding, right?
You talking about stripping the bed, girl? No. um, but like, ever since I started the treatments or whatever, like just been washing my bedding regularly, like cleaning up, like it's just nothing seems
That's
like
good.
past. No, yeah, I'm really pleased. I'm really pleased.
Yeah. And we're gonna get to the treatment, but I just want to bring this up because when you said this, I was like, yo, this is how I feel. Like I feel like sometimes I'm like, was my grandma even real?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Um, that's I feel like, especially the longer it gets since that
Yeah.
person passed away, you're like, is this a real part? Did I make this person up? And that's why it's really hard for me to get rid of my mom's clothes. Like I haven't gotten to that part of my house yet, but I already know when I get to that closet with all of her clothes and stuff in there,
Yeah.
it's going to be tough because that is the part to me that makes me feel like she was a real person. Like here,
Yeah.
actual physical clothes that she had on her body at some point. And
Yeah.
it just makes me feel like, okay, she was real. She was, here. And just
Mm-hmm.
like getting rid of that stuff is gonna be tough because I feel like that's the pieces of her that were tangible that
Yeah.
I'm like actually giving away. But I can't hold on to that stuff. I don't know. I don't have any kids, but I don't want whenever I pass away, whoever gonna go through my stuff, they're gonna be in for a shock if I were to pass away right now. Baby, they
Right.
gonna walk in the house like, oh yeah, please call 911.
Wait, do you ever feel your mom near you? Like, do you ever dream about her or anything?
I haven't in a while, but like what really pisses me off about the dreams that I have about my mom is that they're so regular. Like it'll be her like, girl, pass me the remote. Huh? No. And then when I
Wow.
wake up, I'll be like, I'm mad. Cause why?
Right.
Why
Not
would you
you
ask me
fighting
to
the
pass me a
air.
remote in my dream? Like, why would you do that? Like, I got questions. We supposed to hug and stuff.
Yeah.
you
You know
know?
what's so crazy? So this was probably the first year, because you know how certain days come around, your body kind of like tense up and you know, like, oh shit, that
Yep.
day is coming.
Yep.
So this year on the anniversary of my grandmother's passing, March 1st, I
Mhm.
just been so busy that I forgot that that was the anniversary. And I'm pretty
Mm.
sure I would have remembered, but
Yeah.
just regular life hustle and bustle, right? And so I was sleeping in the bed, whatever, and I was dreaming. And my grandma don't really come and visit me too often in my dreams, whatever. And sometimes I can feel her or I can smell her sometimes, but like in my dreams, I don't really get a chance to like see her. So in my dream, we're just running around her house having a good time. And she kept saying like 15, 15. So I'm like, 15 what, Nana? Like, what are you talking about? So I
Mhm.
don't know if she was saying 15 minutes, but then she kept saying, I'm always with you. I'm always with you. So
Mhm.
I'm laughing. I'm like, all right, girl, whatever, because it felt so real. And it
Uh-huh.
reminded me of us, like me being an adult, but it felt like I was a child in the house
Yeah,
that I grew up
right.
in with her. And so, rewind to the first dream I had. I actually had a dream that my grandmother was going to pass away before she passed away, right? So,
Mhm.
fast forward to the current dream, I had that same exact dream, right? And
Mm.
I end up, when they put the sheet over the person, and
Yeah.
I pull the sheet back. And my grandmother, because PHG, the professional homegirl, was founded because of her. And I always
Mhm.
wonder, like, if my grandma would be proud, or I wish she would be here to see some of the things that I'm doing. No lie, I pulled the sheet back. She had on this white polo shirt that I have in my closet with the PHG logo on it. When I
Oh,
tell you, I was like, nah, girl, we're not doing that.
that's
And I
crazy.
woke up and it was March 1st. And I was like, wow.
Oh, I love stories like that. Like, I only had one. I would like to call it a visit. I don't
Mm,
I don't think it was a dream because um it was just too blended with the real world. So this was like very soon after she passed away, my mom passed away, and I was in her bed reading a book,
mm-hmm.
and I had two dogs at the time. They were in the backyard and they started barking like crazy, barking in the backyard. And then my mom was 58 when she passed away, which is pretty
That's pretty
young.
young though. Yeah, yeah.
Pretty young, but I'm gonna give her 38-year-old version of my mother walked in, and my mom, like I told you, she had a knee surgery, so she walks with a cane for a long time. And she just walked in, no cane. She looked young. She looked
Wow.
different, and she just walked in. She stopped and she like propped her hand on the dresser that was right there, and she said, "Trey, you're not gonna see what the dog's barking about?" And I was like, "Oh yeah." And I got up and I looked through the window, and they were just barking in circles. And then it hit me that that was my mother who just said that, and I said, and then immediately I was on the bed again.
Wow.
I was like, what? It just seems so real and so crazy, because why would that be the version of her that I would see? That's why I don't think it was anything that I was doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's like the one that I hold on to, because it seems like she came back and like, but again, regular. You're not gonna check on the dogs. That's something she would say in
Yeah.
regular life.
But I
No, I
wonder why
need
she
you to
came
say
back.
something.
But I wonder why she came back younger.
That's the thing. I have no idea. Cause I was like, when I sat on the bed again, I was like, what was that?
Were you freaked out?
I kind of was, because but I was happy to have like felt like I had some kind of encounter.
Yeah.
But I was still like, wow, that was so interesting. Like, because I have heard, of people saying like uh the apparitions or whatever that you might see if somebody might be their younger version
That's
or
right.
something like that. And so I've heard that before,
Mhm.
but that still weirded me out, that like a super young version of her just sauntered through the door with no cane, no nothing, like just like, girl, you're not gonna see what them dogs barking about.
And the
You know,
dogs are really barking.
the dogs were really barking, and they say animals can like sense
Yeah.
like spirits and stuff like that. So I feel like the dogs were like,
They knew.
they knew. And so it was
Yeah.
all too real to be a dream, even though when I look back, I was back on the bed and I was like, was I just asleep? It felt very strange, but
Yeah.
that was my one little visit, child. I couldn't wait to go to therapy and tell the lady.
She probably was like, what girl?
No, she was one of those like hippy dippy,
Oh, okay.
ladies. So she was into it. She was like, I'm
Yes.
specific. Yeah. So yeah, but again, she ain't say nothing profound, nothing profound. Like, girl, give me the secrets of life.
Yeah. But
You talk
I think
about
that's
the
so
dog.
beautiful because there's so many things that we don't know that we experience, but it's
Mhm.
like you know what you saw, you know what I'm saying? So
Exactly.
yeah.
And like nothing like that has ever happened since. I've seen her here and there in a dream. One time I saw her and my grandfather's mother, my granny. They actually died the same year. My granny and my mom. And so one
But
time
your
I saw,
grandfather's mother? So your
she
great grandma?
my great grandmother and my mother died in the same year.
Wow.
Yes. She died. My granny died in February and my mom died in November. So um I one time I had a dream that I was walking down the street in New York and a cab pulled up in front of me and then they both hopped out together. And I was like, now what is going on? What is
Oh
going on
my
here?
God.
And they was on some surprise, huh?
No, we ain't doing no surprise in New York City with no cabs. What's wrong with
What?
y'all? Right.
What are you talking about? Again, I just feel like I don't know if like, how some people say that they can like take over the control of their dreams. I just feel like I
Yeah.
maybe have that
No, I don't
ability.
have that.
Yeah, because every time I always just wake up too much and then I can't return back to the same
Yeah.
point.
Like
Child,
it happens one time and that's it.
that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
And then I remember that I saw them and I'm like, oh, that was great. Happy to see
That's
them.
beautiful though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now explain what ketamine therapy is because I never heard of that until now.
Yeah, so same. So ketamine is like the street term for it is shrooms, which I know you have heard of.
That's what I would because I'm like, is this a drug?
Yes, it is. It is a drug. It's shrooms. But apparently, they have been doing studies and they have found that ketamine actually causes neuroplasticity in your brain. So, what happens is when you have depression, some parts of your brain don't light up like they used to. And so
Right.
that's why you're sad all the time. You don't want to do anything. You don't have the energy. You can't muster the motivation to do things. These parts of your brain are sort of lying dormant, right?
Yeah.
And so when you do this ketamine treatment, they have found that if you do like 6 ketamine sessions within like 3 weeks, so like 2 times a week, so very close together, and like 1 week after another, every time you go, the ketamine lights up those parts of your brain, those neural pathways. And because you go so often, eventually your brain remembers to light up on its own. And so I had never heard about it. I had gotten to a really bad point here in February, I believe, where I was gonna dial or text 988. And 988 is like the mental health
line. Yeah.
line. And I was like, first of all, I don't like talking to strangers. So for me, even thinking about dialing 988 was like a major thing where I knew I needed some outside help.
Were you going to harm yourself?
I didn't have any plan, but I did want to.
Right.
I was like, I don't have like a way to do it, but I just felt like it would be better. I would be better off
if I was with somebody somewhere else. Yeah.
So, I, instead of dialing 988, I have a friend who's a nurse practitioner in the behavioral health field. And I was like, it happened actually twice that week. Twice in the same week, I was going to dial 988. And that's when I knew, I was like, this is too much. It's getting to be too much for
Did
me
something trigger you that week, or?
So I told you I have this Atlanta condo, and I actually put my Atlanta condo on the market, and I was cleaning it out, and like getting it in showing condition. And at that moment, I think it was just it felt like I was losing something else. Right. And so I've had,
deep.
Yeah, I've had 2 condos, I've been like, oh, at least I know. The one thing I felt like I was doing to make my mom proud was I was being successful in my career.
Because I
And
say you got some coins, baby.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like I was doing my big one. I was doing big things. And when I was decided that I was gonna put this place on the market, I just felt like I was losing something else. And I was like, what is the point? I just got to this really deep, dark place.
Yeah.
And I called my friend who's a nurse practitioner, and she was like, I've been hearing some things about ketamine. Have you ever thought about it? Do you know about it? And I was like, absolutely not. I'm not a drug user. Like I don't do the drugs. Like I barely drink. I've done like some weed gummies, but like they do nothing for me.
Right.
And so she was like, no, like the FDA has just approved ketamine as a nasal spray for depression. So people know that ketamine works for depression. And so she was like, let me call around and find you a place with an MD that is administering. Because a lot of these, sometimes it's ketamine clinics, y'all, those like IV hydration, oxygen.
Yeah, I'm a little iffy with those.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you don't want one of those. You want somewhere where there's some doctors and
some nurses. Yeah.
Exactly. And so she ended up, because she knew I wasn't going to do it, she ended up calling a place. She talked to the doctor. And this is one of my best friends that, I consider like a sister. And then she called me back and she was like, hey, I called this place. I talked to the doctor and he told me XYZ. Basically, he told her like, it's been working for war vets. It's been working for people with like extreme PTSD. And it's, the studies are showing that it's actually working. It works really fast. And I just straight out asked her, I was like, do you think this is something that I should do? And she was like, I do. I actually think you should give this a try. And I was like, okay, I'm doing it. Tell him to call me. So he called me, the doctor called me, and we had like a little consultation, and I made my appointment that day. I was just like, okay, I'll do it. It was $400 a session, and I had to
do insurance covered it?
I don't think so, not yet, but it probably will eventually. Insurance covers that nasal thing, but I was getting an IV.
Yeah.
So,
and how many sessions did you do?
I did 6 sessions. So it's $2,400 in total. But right after the first session, I felt lighter. I
Wow.
felt better. I felt
Could you do more than 6, or 6 is like the required amount the first go around if this is your first time doing it?
yeah, 6 is like sometimes depending on the clinic, they might ask you to do 8, but I think 6 is like the minimum within 3 weeks.
Minimum. Yeah.
Yeah, the minimum. And then actually I'm gonna go back again later this month for like a booster.
You can
Just
get boosters.
you can get booster. So like you could go, the doctor told me that sometimes people come back like once a quarter or like twice a year or something, depending on you. You know, if you start, he said if I have like 2 or 3 down days in a row, come on back. You know, let's just get that fixed up real quick. And so
That's
I
actually pretty dope though.
yeah, and
But no
the
pun intended, pretty dope.
see what you did. Look, I was so nervous because I was like, I was imagining, let me tell you what I was imagining.
Yeah, because you never did drugs or anything like that
I
before.
never
So I
did
can only
drugs.
imagine how your anxiety was.
Oh my gosh. I was like, watch me be the first person that dies from ketamine.
Right. I'm gonna overdose on some drugs.
No, look, because you know that guy from Friends, he died of a ketamine overdose. The guy from
Who?
Friends, the guy that plays Chandler,
Yes, yes.
Matthew Perry, I think is his name. Yeah, he died. He just died
But
from a
was he doing this?
ketamine. No,
What?
no, he
The
wasn't doing like
therapy.
the treatment, but
Right,
he
right.
really started taking it because he was depressed, and they probably just because he's a celebrity, they probably just gave it to him. You know what I'm saying? Like, here you go.
Right.
And he probably just OD'd on that because it does feel great, you
Mm.
know? So I could see how people, if you just have it in your hand, I could see how you would
It's
take
nonstop with you.
yeah, take it one day and then maybe the next day be like, I'm gonna need a little top off, some top me off again or whatever.
Right.
I could see how that could happen, but I thought I was going to see like I was picturing like 70s tie-dye kaleidoscope. It was gonna be like, ooh, in the
Right,
moon,
right,
in the seventh house. I thought it was gonna be like that, right? And it was very weird. Of course, I watched some YouTube videos of some people who was talking about their experience with ketamine. Um, all white people.
yeah,
And
I didn't. You were the only brownie I saw doing this. That's what
yeah,
really made me intrigued.
yeah, and that's why I decided to record all of my sessions because
Yeah, which is helpful.
yeah, I wanted to be the face that I didn't see when I was trying to find information on it or whatever.
Facts, facts.
And so I try to describe it to some of my friends who ask me like, so what is it like or whatever, and it is it's just very a couple of my sessions were very like existential. Like I got everything. I was questioning everything. Like, what is people? What is like? I had on an eye mask and I was like touching it, and my fingers felt funny. And I was like, "What are fingers? What are toes?" It was
Mm.
it was that. It was giving
Can
this
you get
very
high from this? Like, were you high?
no, yeah. It gives you. They call it like a trip,
Mm.
ketamine trip. And so, and then sometimes I would feel like I was floating like in outer space. And then other
Oh
times I felt
wow.
like I was like sinking into myself.
Mm.
I can't even really, it's very strange. But I will say that shout out to 𝐤𝐿𝐫𝐿 because her music she has an album that's called Trip. I really feel like she does ketamine. Let me just put that out there. I don't know you,
Yeah.
Janae, but I feel like you do it. And because your music went too good with the drug.
Mm.
Um,
I'm pretty
but
sure a lot of niggas in the industry do that just to keep themselves up with everything that's going
yeah,
on. Yeah.
because it after the very first one, I just felt lighter. I even in my YouTube video, I do a comparison from that morning before I went.
Yo, no lie. I saw the
Saw that?
difference.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was like my eyes were closed, like it was like I could barely open them or something. And then afterwards, I was
Alert.
like, "Hey, yo, eyes wide open." Like
Right.
I noticed it, and I'm looking at my own face, you know.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, food tasted better. I was like, God damn, this food good. This is the same food I had yesterday, but this food good as hell.
Well, that just shows you how real depression is.
Okay. It like it makes everything sort of
Yeah.
mundane, and everything is just a downer, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, I just finished my 6 sessions last week, and I'm still feeling good. I still feel good, and I'm super
Yeah.
excited about, what it did for me. And I'm also very happy to get on anybody's platform and talk about it, because if I could help, just one more person feel better and like climb out of that deep dark hole,
Yeah.
I will.
And how many booster shots are you gonna do? Because I know you taking one very soon. So how often, like, what's the frequency with that?
I think I'm just going to, see it out. I'm not really sure, but I just want us to I'm about to leave Atlanta soon. That's why I was like, well, let me just get one in with the same clinic that I'm used to,
Yeah.
um, before I go back to Chicago. And then either I'll find a place in Chicago, or, maybe come back to Atlanta with the people that I know. But yeah, I'm just gonna like see. I'm hoping that maybe if I can do just like one a quarter, I can still feel good.
That's probably
So
all you need too.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm happy with the results. And this helps people who have anxiety,
Mm-hmm.
PTSD, any kind of traumatic events. It really helps with all of those things, depression, all
Yeah.
of that. And so, yeah, when you reached out, I was like, oh, hell yeah, let's talk about this, because, I just feel like Black people ain't doing this for
Oh
sure.
no.
No.
I don't even honestly, I don't even think they're not doing it. I don't even think Black people know about this.
No, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm telling you, I didn't know nothing about it. And so my friend that I called is white, and she was the one that like brought it
Yeah.
up. Like, yeah, ketamine, you heard about it? It's gonna make you happy a little bit. I'm like, okay.
I was telling my cousin about this. My cousin, he hood nigga. And
Okay,
I was
yeah.
like, yeah, I'm about to interview this girl. She did ketamine. He was like, nigga, that's shrooms. I
Right?
was like, really? He was like, yeah, nigga. I was like,
That's
oh, it
it.
helped her though. I'm like, from what I see, I'm like, she seems happier, lighter.
Yes.
He was like, yeah. He was like, I know that feeling too.
Look, my friend that I called, she had done shrooms like recreationally, and she was like, "No, yeah, like it's gonna make you feel good for sure. It's gonna make you
Right,
feel."
right.
But the thing that I think um was amazing for me is that I still feel good like
Yeah,
later. You know what I'm saying? Like the effects are lasting. And
yeah,
for a lot of people, I was on antidepressants. I mean, I'm still on antidepressants, but I was on antidepressants before, and it takes like 6 to 8 weeks for antidepressants to like even start doing anything for a lot of people.
yeah,
And so for you to take one treatment and like sort of feel better that immediately,
yeah,
I think that was just a godsend, because I was just like, oh shit, I should have did this a long time ago. I should have
yeah.
been getting high doing drugs.
Right. Listen, I know Reagan and Nancy stress.
Okay. What? And I said I was a part of the dare generation. Like I was just
Me
saying no to
too.
everything. Like, and now I'm like, yes.
Yeah,
But
dead
that
ass. Dead
sickness.
ass. So did you have to make any changes to your self-care routine? Or like how are you coping with things now that you are on ketamine?
Well, when I was doing the treatments,
Hmm.
um, like you can't drive for 12 hours, and like you
Yeah, I
can't
saw that.
yeah. So I when I would come home, I would just sort of like veg out for that day. Like towards the end of the night, I would be up. I'm like, oh, okay, I gotta do some editing, I gotta do some this, some that,
You
whatever.
probably got mad energy.
Okay. Like it was crazy. I was like actually getting shit done. Like I'm usually a very big procrastinator, and I was just getting shit done, and it felt really good actually, because nothing felt like so daunting. It didn't feel like it was gonna be hard to do, or I was putting it off or whatever. It just felt
Yeah.
like, let's hop into this. Let's get this done. Um, but other than that, like I think the thing that has probably stayed a little bit the same is me staying at home a lot. Like I still don't leave my house a lot. Like I'm
Yeah.
not out and about. But for the most part, like I'm doing things. You know, one thing that I noticed that really like made me feel good was that I started singing in the car.
Oh
And
yeah.
that was something that I realized that I haven't done forever. Like I usually listen to a podcast and I just zone out. I don't speak. I don't really say anything in the car. And you know, I drive down from Chicago to Atlanta and back up like a lot.
Yeah.
And it would just be like 11 hours of me just
Oh
zone.
wow.
Yeah, it's just zoned out,
Wow.
not saying nothing. And so after my first ketamine infusion, I went to Walmart, and as I was going to Walmart, I was like, you know what, I think I want to listen to music. And I just started listening to music. I put on a 90s playlist and I was singing down boo boots. I was singing hard. I was like, I'm
You were
singing.
singing like you wrote the song.
Okay. It was amazing. And so, you know, I'm just starting to notice things, and other people have been like you're like getting back to yourself. Like you
Yeah.
seem like old, you know. Um and
That's
so
good.
I'm just really excited about the prospects of it because and you know what? It makes me feel hopeful that even if I do have some days where I'm feeling down, before I felt very hopeless because it was like nothing can help me. This is
Yeah.
my life now.
You
Like this
gave
is how,
up.
yeah, I was just giving up. But now I feel like even if I do have a couple of days where I'm feeling sad, I'm gonna make an appointment. And
Yeah.
I know I'm not gonna be sad, you know, for a minute after that. And I feel so much better knowing that there is something that can actually help me and it's like actually working.
Yeah, yeah. And you also invest in yourself. Like, even
Mhm.
if you have the faith of a mustard seed, the fact that you still fighting is just like that's inspiring because a lot of people wouldn't even do that.
Yeah, yeah. Because listen, I was I was right there about to give up on
Yeah.
everything. And I was like, my friend was like, I don't have I wish I had $400 a session. I would do it. And I said, well, if I had jumped off of somebody's bridge, they wasn't gonna get their money anyway.
Yeah.
What
So
do
you
you
gotta
mean?
figure it
Like,
out.
I'm like, it's
You
gonna be
figure
okay.
everything else
Like,
out.
yeah, just put
Right.
it on a credit card and be happier.
Yeah. Dead
It's
ass,
not,
dead ass.
it wasn't worth it to be like, oh, this is so expensive. I just wanted something to help me, period.
Yeah. We have
Yeah.
two more questions, but something else just came to mind. Is there anything else that you can't do when you're doing ketamine? Like, is there any like I know you can't drive, but do you have to prepare for anything? Like, do you need to eat a certain amount of food or
I actually saw in some other people's experiences that they weren't eating for 4 to 6 hours before. So I
okay.
always made my ketamine appointments in the morning, like 10:30 or 11, and I
Mm-hmm.
just wouldn't eat anything before I went.
Okay.
Um, and so, but they do give you like a little nausea, little pill to put under
Pill,
your
yeah.
before it starts. And um, yeah, I think some people probably get the spinnies, what they call the spinnies, where like the room is spinning and
That's
stuff like
that
that.
rush.
Yeah, I never got that. That never happened to me. Nothing was ever spinning. But
Right.
to see how if stuff is spinning, how you would feel dizzy and like maybe throw up or whatever. But like every time I went, they'd be like, "Are you feeling any nausea? Are you feeling?" Nope, I'm good because I never ate.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that was a thing. But I would say avoiding alcohol after, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't say like go do ketamine and then go to a bar or something like that. I
No,
wouldn't do
I
that.
wouldn't do that. Oh
Yeah.
gosh.
But other than that, I nothing, you know, no drugs that I was currently taking interfered with it. And yeah, I think it was just, you know, a topper, something to top it off.
Now, what would be some advice you will offer to someone considering ketamine therapy for the first time? What would be your advice?
My main advice would be to try it once. And if you feel better, go ahead and continue. I think I just kept thinking, because I had learned about like the plasticity and like how it was forming neural pathways and like lighting up the old ones that were dormant. Once I learned about that, I did not give a fuck what happened when I was laying down on that chair. I would
Yeah.
just like, in my head, I was just like, get in there and do what you got to do. Just
Yeah.
light up stuff. And if you think about it like that, I think you're more likely to finish the whole treatment, because you're like,
Yeah.
just need everything that needs to be lit up in my brain to be lit up.
Yeah.
And but I guess my main advice would be to just, if you can afford it or find a way to afford it, at least try to go once or twice, and you probably will feel better.
Yeah.
I felt better after the first one.
And
So
you'll find that $400 after that first
exactly.
session.
So think about everything else you spent $400 on, like you could find it somewhere. And, I feel like if your life is on the line, it's worth just trying once.
Yeah, yeah. And last but not least, if you can tell your mom one thing about this journey you've been on since she departed, what would that be?
The ketamine journey, or just my life journey?
Your life journey since she transitioned.
Ooh, child. Um, I would tell her that I was still trying.
Yeah.
I think I think I would like to have been like, oh, I did this and I'm so successful and I traveled here and I did blah, blah, blah. But if I had the opportunity to say one thing to her, it would just be that, like, I'm still trying. I'm still doing it. I'm still here. She probably would understand how much of a struggle it was, considering how sad she was when her own mother passed away.
Yeah.
Um, and so the fact that, like, I'm still trying, I think is a very important statement, for not only, to tell her, but like to tell myself that I haven't given,
Yeah.
and I'm still trying.
And I don't even think she will understand. I think she would be proud because
Yeah,
you found a way.
I actually have a sticky note on my mirror at home in Chicago that says she's proud of you. And so I
Yeah.
have to kind of remind myself, because I just be like thinking I'm out here doing the worst. But yeah, no, I'm doing pretty well.
Yeah, you are. I'm so happy that we connected. I think this conversation was so it was just so like it made me feel really good. Like you eat
Yeah.
some soul food.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
so thank you.
appreciate you so much for asking me to come on here.
Yes, yes, thank you so much. And I hope this inspires other people to really invest in their mental health, because as far as we know, we only get one shot at this.
Period.
So make the best out of it. So to the listeners, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or if you want to say, hey girl, hey, please make sure to email me at hello@thephdpodcast.com. To my guests, thank you so much for sharing your storyline, because like I always say, you never know how your storyline can be someone else's lifeline.
Mm.
And until next time, everyone, later.